Hey everybody, welcome to Relax History. Thank you for stopping by. Tonight we will be taking an extensive look into the illustrious ancient Egypt. Not the pharaohs, wars, or mysterious tombs, but the day-to-day lives that people experienced who were just like you and I. The world is still dark. Above the Nile, thousands of stars shimmer in the quiet sky, reflected on water so calm it almost looks like black glass. The air is cool before sunrise, carrying the smell of wet earth, river reeds, and distant cooking fires. For a few peaceful moments, Egypt belongs only to the river. Somewhere in the darkness, a fisherman steps into a narrow wooden boat. His paddle touches the water softly. Along the riverbank, papyrus reeds move in the breeze, frogs call from the mud, and birds begin to stir before the first light reaches the horizon. Soon, one of the greatest civilizations in history will wake. But this story is not about kings, battles, or golden tombs. It is about ordinary people, farmers, bakers, mothers, children, scribes, fishermen, priests, and workers whose names were never carved into monuments. They were the people who made ancient Egypt live. The pyramids may have been built for kings, but Egypt itself was built by millions of ordinary people, waking up, working, eating, praying, laughing, worrying, and falling asleep beneath the same sun that warmed the Nile for thousands of years. So tonight, let's step into their world. Imagine you are waking before dawn in a small Egyptian village near the Nile. Your home is made from sun-dried mud brick, the most common building material in ancient Egypt. The walls are thick enough to hold back some of the daytime heat, and the flat roof above you has cooled during the night. Many Egyptian homes were simple, but they were carefully built for the climate. Small windows kept out the harsh sun. Flat roofs gave families extra space. On hot nights, people might sleep on the roof, where the air was cooler and the stars stretched endlessly above them. Inside the house, the floor is hard, packed earth. There may be woven mats, baskets, clay jars, wooden stools, and simple beds. A wealthier family might own painted furniture, carved wooden boxes, or linen sheets. A poor family might have only the basics, but the home still has rhythm, warmth, and life. As the sky begins to pale, the household slowly wakes. A child turns under a light covering. A dog lifts its head near the doorway. Someone stirs ashes from yesterday's fire, preparing to light the morning flame. Outside, a donkey brays, and the village begins to breathe again. Ancient Egyptians often rose early because the day's heat could become intense. Morning was precious. Before the sun climbed high, there was work to begin. Bread to bake, animals to tend, water to carry, and fields to reach. The Nile shaped the schedule of nearly everyone's life. To the Egyptians, the Nile was more than a river. It was the center of survival. Every year, its floodwaters spread rich black silt across the fields, renewing the soil and making farming possible in a land surrounded by desert. Without the Nile, Egypt would have been almost impossible. From a doorway, you can see the thin line between life and emptiness. Near the river, there are fields, palms, gardens, birds, boats, and people. Beyond that green strip, the desert begins. Dry hills glow faintly in the first light, silent and endless. Egypt lived between water and sand. Morning begins with the body. Cleanliness mattered deeply in ancient Egypt. People washed when they could, used oils to soften the skin, and cared about appearance. Even ordinary Egyptians tried to keep themselves presentable, especially in a hot climate where dust, sweat, and insects were part of daily life. Clothing was usually made from linen, woven from flax. In the heat, linen was light, breathable, and practical. Men often wore simple kilts. Women often wore straight linen dresses. Children, especially younger ones, might wear very little in the hottest weather. Jewelry was not only decoration. Amulets, beads, rings, and necklaces could show beauty, status, protection, or religious meaning. Even simple blue or green beads might carry symbolic power, reminding the wearer of life, rebirth, and protection from unseen dangers. Before leaving the house, someone may apply eye makeup. This was not just fashion. Dark eye paint helped to reduce glare from the sun and may have helped protect against irritation. It also connected beauty with spiritual protection, because the eye was a powerful symbol in Egyptian belief. Hair could be natural, shaved, braided, or covered with wigs, depending on age, wealth, work, and status. Insects were a constant problem in the ancient world, so grooming was practical as well as beautiful. A wealthy person's wig might be carefully styled and scented with oils. Outside, the village is now awake. Smoke rises from clay ovens. Women grind grain with steady, practiced movements. Children carry small tasks for their parents. A farmer checks his tools. A fisherman prepares his net. Somewhere nearby, bread is already baking. The smell of the morning is simple but rich. Warm bread, river mud, smoke, animals, dates stored in baskets, fresh cut reeds, and the faint sweetness of oil or perfume on someone's skin. This is not the Egypt of silent ruins. This is Egypt alive. As the sun finally breaks over the horizon, the mud brick walls turn gold. The Nile catches the light. Birds lift from the marshes, and across the village, ordinary people step into another day. A day of work, food, family, religion, heat, dust, laughter, and survival. This is where daily life in ancient Egypt truly begins. Not inside a palace, not inside a tomb, but in the quiet morning, beside the river, where the first sounds of life rise with the sun. Next, the ovens are lit, the grain is ground, and breakfast begins. Before the day's hardest work begins, it is time for the first meal. Breakfast is simple, but filling. The smell of fresh bread drifts through the village as ovens that have been warm since before sunrise continue baking loaf after loaf for hungry families. Bread is the foundation of Egyptian life. Rich or poor, almost everyone eats it every day. Archaeologists have discovered dozens of different styles of ancient Egyptian bread, from small round loaves to braided designs and cone-shaped loaves baked inside clay molds. Making bread is a daily ritual. Long before sunrise, grain is poured onto large stone querns. With steady hands, women grind wheat or barley into flour using heavy grinding stones, a task that requires patience and considerable strength. The sound becomes part of the morning, stone scraping against stone, rhythmic, steady. Every household recognizes it. For thousands of years, that quiet grinding echoed through villages along the Nile almost every single morning. Once enough flour has been collected, water is mixed into the dough. Sometimes salt is added, sometimes herbs. Occasionally dates or honey sweetened special loaves prepared for festivals or wealthier families. Most bread, however, is wonderfully simple. The dough is shaped by hand before being placed inside clay ovens or directly against heated pottery molds. Soon, the smell of warm bread fills the narrow streets, mixing with wood smoke and the cool air still lingering from the night. Alongside bread sits another staple of Egyptian life: beer. To modern ears, that may sound surprising, but Egyptian beer was very different from the strong alcoholic drinks many people imagine today. Most beer was thick, cloudy, and nutritious. It contained grains, vitamins, and calories that helped fuel long days of physical labor. Many historians believe it was as much a food as it was a drink. Workers often received bread and beer as part of their wages. Records from ancient Egypt show that laborers building royal tombs and temples were frequently paid with carefully measured rations rather than coins. Even children sometimes drank weaker forms of beer, especially when water quality was uncertain. The brewing process reduced harmful microorganisms, making it a dependable daily beverage for many families. Breakfasts might also include onions, garlic, cucumbers, figs, dates, lentils, or fresh herbs gathered from nearby gardens. These foods were inexpensive, easy to grow beside the Nile, and provided valuable nutrition throughout the year. For wealthier households, breakfast could be much more elaborate. Fresh fruit, soft cheeses, duck eggs, honey, even roasted duck or goose on special occasions. The wealthiest Egyptians enjoyed remarkable variety compared to ordinary farming families. Outside the home, neighbors greet one another as smoke rises from dozens of ovens. Children carry baskets. Dogs wander between homes, hoping for scraps. Donkeys patiently wait beside wooden carts loaded with grain, headed toward the marketplace. The village is no longer quiet. Conversations drift through the streets. Birds circle overhead. Boats glide along the Nile, carrying vegetables, fish, pottery, and travelers toward nearby towns before the afternoon heat settles across the valley. As breakfast comes to an end, families prepare to separate. Farmers shoulder wooden tools. Scribes gather brushes and rolls of papyrus. Fishermen lift their woven nets. Across Egypt, millions of ordinary people begin another day of work beneath the rising sun. As the morning sun climbs higher into the sky, the village slowly empties. Families head in every direction. Some walk toward the fertile fields beside the Nile. Others make their way toward workshops, temples, docks, or bustling marketplaces where another day of work is about to begin. For most Egyptians, farming was life. Nearly everyone depended on the harvest in one way or another. The rich black soil left behind by the Nile's annual flood allowed wheat, barley, flax, vegetables, and fruit to flourish in a landscape that was otherwise surrounded by endless desert. The timing of every season depended on the river. When the Nile flooded, fields disappeared beneath the water. When the floodwaters slowly receded, they left behind fresh layers of fertile silt that farmers eagerly prepared for planting. The river decided the rhythm of the year. Wooden hoes break the soil. Oxen slowly pull simple plows across the fields. Workers scatter seed by hand while birds circle overhead, hoping to steal an easy meal before the grain can be covered. The work is repetitive, but every harvest means survival. The Egyptian sun grows stronger with every passing hour. Even in the morning, temperatures begin to climb. White linen clothing helps keep workers cool. While many pause occasionally beneath palm trees or simple shelters for a brief moment of shade, nearby, another farmer operates a simple irrigation channel. Using a device known as a shadoof, he lifts water from the Nile into narrow canals that feed thirsty crops. This simple invention would help Egyptian agriculture flourish for centuries. Not everyone worked in the fields. One of the most respected professions was that of the scribe. Unlike most people, scribes learned to read and write, recording everything from taxes and harvests to religious ceremonies and government records. A young apprentice carefully grinds black and red pigments before dipping a reed brush into ink. Sheets of smooth papyrus are rolled across a wooden board as neat columns of hieroglyphs slowly fill the page. Knowledge is their profession. Because literacy was uncommon, scribes held remarkable influence. Their work required patience, education, and years of practice. Some ancient Egyptian sayings even encouraged children to become scribes rather than laborers, promising a life with fewer physical hardships. Along the riverbanks, fishermen cast woven nets into the slow-moving water. Tilapia, catfish, perch, and other freshwater fish are common catches. The Nile provides food almost every day, and generations of fishing knowledge are passed from parent to child. Small wooden boats drift quietly across the river. Some carry fishermen, others transport grain, pottery, stone, livestock, or travelers between villages. The Nile serves as Egypt's greatest highway, connecting communities hundreds of miles apart. Inside nearby workshops, skilled craftsmen shape everyday life. Carpenters build furniture from imported cedar and local woods. Potters spin wet clay into bowls, jars, and storage vessels that will be used in homes across the region. The ringing sound of copper chisels echoes from another workshop. Stonemasons carefully carve statues, columns, and blocks destined for temples, tombs, and monuments that will survive for thousands of years. Their work demands incredible precision. Goldsmiths sit patiently beneath shaded roofs, melting precious metals into jewelry worn by nobles and priests. Tiny beads, delicate bracelets, colorful inlays, and protective amulets are crafted by hands that have practiced for decades. Perfumers crush flowers, herbs, and fragrant resins into scented oils. The rich aroma of myrrh, frankincense, lotus, and cinnamon drifts through the workshop. In ancient Egypt, perfume is more than luxury. It is part of religion, medicine, cleanliness, and daily life. Doctors also move through Egyptian society. Although medicine is still limited compared to today, many physicians understand surprisingly advanced techniques for treating wounds, setting broken bones, stitching injuries, and using herbal remedies for illness. By late morning, the entire landscape hums with activity. Fields sway gently in the breeze. Boats glide across the Nile. Workshops ring with tools. Markets grow louder. Smoke rises into the bright blue sky. Everywhere you look, ordinary Egyptians are building one of history's greatest civilizations. By midday, the marketplace has become the busiest place for miles around. Nearly every road seems to lead here. Farmers arrive with fresh vegetables. Fishermen unload the morning's catch. Merchants carefully arrange baskets, pottery, woven cloth, and tools beneath simple shade canopies. The marketplace is filled with sound. People bargain over prices. Children laugh as they weave between the crowds. Donkeys bray impatiently while chickens wander freely beneath wooden stalls searching for scattered grain. Everywhere, voices blend into a constant rhythm. Unlike modern supermarkets, there are no shelves or shopping carts. Most goods are displayed in baskets, clay jars, woven mats, or simple wooden tables. People stop, inspect each item closely, and often negotiate before making a trade. Ancient Egypt rarely used coins for much of its history. Instead, many everyday exchanges relied on barter or carefully measured values. Grain, cloth, copper tools, oils, and livestock could all serve as forms of payment, depending on the situation. Fresh vegetables brighten the market with color. Bundles of onions, garlic, lettuce, leeks, beans, cucumbers, dates spill from woven baskets while fragrant herbs perfume the warm afternoon air. The market is as colorful as it is busy. Nearby, potters proudly display smooth clay jars of every shape and size. Some are designed to store grain, others hold water, beer, oils, perfumes, or wine. Many families depend on these simple vessels every single day. Linen merchants carefully unfolds beautifully woven cloth across wooden tables. The finest linen is soft, bright, and remarkably smooth. For wealthy Egyptians, finely woven linen is considered one of the greatest signs of elegance and comfort. Jewelry makers attract curious crowds. Bracelets of gold, necklaces of colorful fan's beads, carved scarab amulets, tiny rings, decorated pendants. Each piece is believed to bring beauty, protection, or good fortune to its owner. One corner of the market smells entirely different. Incense slowly burns beside fragrant oils, myrrh, frankincense, lotus, cinnamon. The warm breeze carries these scents through the crowded streets, mixing with fresh bread in the nearby river. Travelers arrive from distant lands carrying goods that many villagers have never seen before. Cedar wood from Lebanon, ivory from Africa, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, exotic incense from Arabia. Egypt is not isolated. It is one of the great trading centers of the ancient world. You might be surprised to learn that Egypt's trade routes stretched thousands of miles. Long before airplanes or highways, merchants traveled deserts, rivers, and seas to bring valuable goods into the kingdom. Some journeys took weeks, others lasted months. The market is also where news spreads. People discuss the latest harvest, temple, festivals, river levels, taxes, royal announcements, family celebrations. For many Egyptians, the marketplace is both a shopping center and the social heart of the community. As the afternoon sun grows hotter, many shoppers seek shade beneath woven awnings. Some pause to drink beer or water. Others simply rest for a few moments before continuing through the busy streets. Life slows, but it never truly stops. Looking around, it becomes clear that no single person could build Egypt alone. Every loaf of bread, every clay pot, every fishing net, every piece of jewelry, and every temple stone exists because thousands of ordinary people depend upon one another every single day. It is easy to remember Egypt for its pyramids. Yet places like this marketplace reveal something even more remarkable. A civilization is not built only by kings. It is built by neighbors. As the afternoon sun begins its slow journey across the sky, many Egyptians pause for something just as important as work: religion. In ancient Egypt, faith is not something reserved for special occasions. It is woven into nearly every moment of daily life. Before leaving home each morning, many families quietly leave small offerings at household shrines: a piece of bread, fresh water, flowers, a whispered prayer. These simple acts ask the gods for protection over the day ahead. Unlike many modern religions centered around a single deity, the Egyptians worship hundreds of gods and goddesses. Each represents different parts of life: the sun, the Nile, the sky, love, wisdom, healing, death, birth, the harvest. Nearly every aspect of existence has a divine protector. For an ordinary farmer, the gods are never far away. The rising sun is a reminder of the sun god Ra. The fertile soil recalls the gift of the Nile. Even a successful harvest is believed to depend not only on hard work, but also on divine favor. Temples rise above many towns with towering stone columns painted in brilliant colors. Today, we often imagine ancient Egyptian temples as pale stone, but thousands of years ago, they were alive with vibrant reds, deep blues, rich greens, brilliant yellows, and shining gold. The scent reaches you before the temple does. Frankincense, myrrh, burning oils, flowers. The warm air carries these fragrances through the streets as priests prepared daily rituals hidden deep inside sacred halls. Most ordinary Egyptians never entered the temple's innermost sanctuary. Only priests were permitted to care for the sacred statues, believed to house the presence of the gods. Every morning these statues were washed, dressed, perfumed, and offered food as honored guests. You might be surprised to learn that these daily temple rituals happened whether anyone was watching or not. To the Egyptians, maintaining harmony with the gods helped preserve the order of the entire universe. It was considered essential work. Amulets are everywhere. Tiny scarab beetles, the Eye of Horus, the Ankh. Some are carved from stone, others from colorful glazed faience or precious gold. Many Egyptians wear them every day, believing they bring health, luck, and protection. Religion also influences medicine. Doctors often combine practical treatments with prayers and protective spells. To ancient Egyptians, healing the body and protecting the spirit are closely connected. One is rarely separated from the other. Throughout the year, festivals transform quiet towns into joyful celebrations. Sacred statues are carried through crowded streets. Music echoes between temple walls. People sing, dance, feast, and celebrate alongside neighbors who have traveled from surrounding villages. For many families, these festivals are among the happiest days of the year. Children laugh as musicians play harps, flutes, drums, and rattles. Food is shared freely. The smell of roasting meat fills the air. For a little while, work gives way to celebration. Although the pharaoh is rarely seen by ordinary people, his presence is felt everywhere. Taxes support royal projects. Officials enforce his laws. His image appears in temples throughout the kingdom. To most Egyptians, the pharaoh is more than a king. He is believed to help maintain balance between the gods and the people. This idea is known as Mat. Mat represents truth, justice, balance, harmony, order. Every Egyptian, from the humblest farmer to the pharaoh himself, is expected to help preserve it. Without Mat, they believe the world would fall into chaos. As afternoon slowly fades, temple bells, distant prayers, and birds returning to the river blend together beneath the golden sunlight. For thousands of years, faith has shaped not only Egypt's monuments, but also the quiet lives of its ordinary people. As the afternoon heat slowly begins to fade, families make their way home. The busiest hours of work are over. Long shadows stretch across the fields as the brilliant Egyptian sun starts its descent toward the western desert. Children are often the first to fill the streets again. Some chase one another through narrow paths between mud brick homes. Others throw small balls made from papyrus or leather, play with carved wooden toys, or invent games whose rules have long been forgotten by history. Archaeologists have uncovered dolls with movable arms, wooden animals on wheels, toy boats, spinning tops, and tiny carved figures. These discoveries remind us that childhood in ancient Egypt was filled with imagination, curiosity, and play, just as it is today. Many children also help with daily chores, fetching water, gathering firewood, feeding chickens, watching younger brothers and sisters From an early age, everyone contributes to the household in small but meaningful ways. Inside the home, preparations for the evening meal quietly begin. Clay ovens are warmed once again, fresh bread is sliced, vegetables are washed. Fish caught earlier in the day may be cleaned and cooked over an open fire while fragrant herbs season the meal. Most families do not eat lavish feasts. Dinner is usually simple: bread, beer, onions, beans, lentils, fresh vegetables, perhaps fish from the Nile. For wealthier households, roasted duck, goose, beef, fruit, and sweet honey occasionally appear on the table. As food cooks, conversations fill the room. Parents ask about the day's work. Neighbors stop to visit. Grandparents tell stories that have been passed down for generations. The walls of the home may be humble, but they are filled with warmth. Cats quietly wander beneath the table, hoping for scraps. Highly respected throughout Egypt, cats help protect homes by hunting mice and snakes. Many families consider them trusted companions long before they become symbols of Egyptian culture. Dogs are equally familiar. Some guard homes, others accompany hunters into the desert. Many sleep peacefully beside their owners after a long day beneath the hot Egyptian sun. Music often becomes part of the evening. The gentle sound of harps drifts through the village. Flutes echo softly in the distance. Small drums and rattles keep steady rhythm while families sing songs whose melodies have disappeared into history. Dance accompanies many celebrations, but it also appears during ordinary gatherings. Neighbors clap, children laugh, someone begins to sing. For a few peaceful moments, the hardships of daily work give way to simple joy shared among friends and family. Oil lamps begin to glow inside homes as daylight slowly fades. Their warm golden light dances across mud brick walls, woven baskets, clay jars, and simple wooden furniture. Outside, the air finally begins to cool after another hot Egyptian day. You might imagine ancient Egypt as a world of constant labor. Yet moments like these remind us that ordinary people also rested, celebrated, laughed, raised families, and enjoyed quiet evenings together. History is built just as much from these peaceful moments as it is from great events. As darkness settles across the Nile Valley, smoke rises gently from the last cooking fires, boats return to shore. The marketplace grows silent. Only distant voices and the gentle sound of flowing water remain. Looking upward, the stars slowly return. Without modern cities or electric lights, the night sky above ancient Egypt is breathtaking. The Milky Way stretches overhead while countless stars reflect once again upon the calm waters of the Nile. As the final voices fade into the evening, the village grows remarkably quiet. Without engines, electric lights, or distant highways, ancient Egypt settles into a silence that is difficult for most of us to imagine today. Only the Nile continues its endless journey toward the sea. The air feels different now. The intense heat of the afternoon has faded, replaced by a gentle breeze drifting across the river. Palm leaves rustle softly overhead, while crickets and frogs begin their nightly chorus among the papyrus reeds. Many families remain outside for a while longer. The cooler evening offers welcome relief after the heat of the day. Neighbors exchange a few final words. Children grow sleepy. The last cooking fires slowly burn down to glowing embers. Looking upward, the night sky reveals itself in astonishing detail. Far from the lights of modern cities, thousands upon thousands of stars stretch from horizon to horizon. The Milky Way arches overhead like a glowing river across the heavens. To the ancient Egyptians, these stars are far more than distant lights. Many believe they are connected to the gods and to the souls of the dead. The heavens are alive with meaning, reminding people that life on Earth is only one part of a much larger universe. Egyptian priests become some of the ancient world's greatest observers of the night sky. By carefully watching the stars, they help predict the seasons, religious festivals, and even the flooding of the Nile that sustains the kingdom. One star is especially important. Sirius, its first appearance in the eastern sky before sunrise, each year signals that the life-giving flood of the Nile is approaching. For countless generations, this brilliant star becomes one of Egypt's most trusted natural calendars. You might be surprised to learn that much of ancient Egyptian timekeeping depended upon careful observations of the heavens. Long before clocks or calendars hung on walls, people looked upward to understand the passing of the seasons. Inside the home, woven mats are spread across the floor. Some family members climb onto the flat rooftop where the evening air remains cooler. Others settle into simple wooden beds supported by a tightly woven rope. The day has finally come to an end. Oil lamps flicker quietly before being extinguished one by one. Darkness slowly fills the room. Only moonlight filtering through the small windows remains. Outside, somewhere in the distance, a dog barks before the village falls silent once again. Tomorrow will look remarkably similar. The baker will rise before dawn. The fisherman will return to the Nile. The farmer will walk once more into the fertile fields. Children will laugh. Neighbors will gather. Life will continue, much as it has for generations. This quiet rhythm is one of ancient Egypt's greatest achievements. While kings come and go, dynasties rise and fall, and monuments are built across the desert. Ordinary people continue living their lives, one peaceful day at a time. As the village sleeps, it is easy to forget how extraordinary this place truly is. To those who live here, it is simply home, a place of work, family, laughter, worship, and quiet evenings beside the river. To us, it has become one of history's greatest civilizations. When we think about ancient Egypt, our minds often picture towering pyramids, golden mosques, and mighty pharaohs. Yet those remarkable achievements were only possible because millions of ordinary people lived lives that were far less dramatic, but no less important. Every loaf of bread began with someone patiently grinding grain. Every temple stone was carefully shaped by skilled hands. Every papyrus scroll was written by a practiced scribe. Every child who laughed in the streets carried the future of the civilization forward. Archaeologists continue discovering forgotten villages, broken pottery, simple tools, worn sandals, children's toys, and humble homes. These everyday objects often tell us more about ancient Egypt than the treasures buried inside royal tombs. History is often remembered through its rulers, but civilizations are sustained by ordinary people. The farmer rising before sunrise, the fisherman casting his net, the baker lighting the morning oven, the mother comforting a child, the craftsman perfecting his work. For more than 3,000 years, generation after generation repeated these same routines beside the Nile. Empires changed, dynasties ended, foreign kingdoms came and went, but the rhythm of daily life continued with remarkable consistency. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson ancient Egypt leaves behind. Not simply that it built magnificent monuments, but that millions of ordinary lives lived with quiet purpose, created something far greater than any one individual ever could. Even today, as archaeologists uncover new discoveries beneath the Egyptian sand, they continue finding traces of those forgotten lives. Footprints preserved in ancient mud, children's drawings scratched into stone, letters between friends, simple belongings left behind thousands of years ago. These small discoveries remind us that the people of ancient Egypt were never just names in history books. They worried about tomorrow. They loved their families. They celebrated holidays. They hoped for good harvests. And they looked toward the future, just as we do today. Across thousands of years, the distance between our lives and theirs suddenly feels much smaller. Technology has changed. Cities have changed. Languages have changed, but kindness, family, hope, curiosity, and the desire to build a better tomorrow remain wonderfully familiar. And somewhere beneath the endless stars, beside the quiet waters of the Nile, another peaceful day comes to an end. The last oil lamp has gone dark. The final voices have faded into silence. Only the gentle sound of the Nile continues through the night, flowing exactly as it did yesterday, and exactly as it will tomorrow. Somewhere nearby, a fisherman sleeps, knowing he will wake before sunrise. A baker rests after another day beside the oven. A farmer dreams of healthy crops. A child clutches a favorite wooden toy before quietly drifting off beneath the stars. Across the village, cats patrol the narrow streets. Palm trees sway gently in the cool night breeze. The desert beyond remains perfectly still, watching silently over the fertile ribbon of life beside the river. Far above, countless stars continue their slow journey across the heavens. The same constellations that guided Egyptian priests, inspired their stories, and marked the passing seasons still shine above us tonight. Some things, it seems, never truly change. By morning, life will begin again. The first cooking fires will glow. The smell of fresh bread will fill the air. Boats will slip quietly onto the Nile. Children will laugh. Merchants will open their stalls. Another ordinary day will quietly unfold. No one living here knows that thousands of years later, people from every corner of the world will still marvel at their civilization. They are simply living their lives, working, loving, laughing, building a future they will never see. Perhaps that is what makes ancient Egypt so remarkable. Not only the pyramids, not only the temples, not only the treasures hidden beneath the sand, but the millions of ordinary people whose quiet lives made all of those wonders possible. History often remembers kings, yet civilizations are built by neighbors, by parents teaching children, by friends sharing meals, by craftsmen perfecting their trade, by farmers rising before dawn. Their names may be forgotten, but their lives are not. As the stars slowly turn overhead, Egypt grows quiet once more. The river continues its endless journey north. The wind whispers through the papyrus reeds. And for just a little while, the world feels wonderfully still. The world is still dark. Above the Nile, thousands of stars shimmer upon the calm water. Soon, the first hint of dawn will appear in the east, and another peaceful day in ancient Egypt will begin. Good night. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. If you enjoyed this peaceful exploration, consider subscribing for more relaxing documentaries about the ancient world. Sleep well, and we'll see you in the next chapter of history.